Manners that promises to delight adult audiences with its witty repartee, hilarious situations and outrageous characters. That's the Elizabeth Sneddon Theatre's latest production titled Private Lives and stars Clare Mortimer, Stead, Jessica Sole and Iain Robinson. Mortimer, who plays Amanda in the production, joins us now from our Durban studios to tell us more. A very good morning to you, Mortimer. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me on the show.
I mean, we're talking private lives here. Give us a synopsis of what this is all about and what was the inspiration behind this production?
I think that Stead, one of the directors, there are two directors, has wanted to do it for a very long time. It's a very well-known piece. It's done all over the world. I think it's just so witty and it's just an absolute gift for actors. So we finally found the time. And in terms of a brief synopsis, it's a divorced couple on their honeymoon with their newly married spouses, and they happen to be staying in adjacent hotel rooms with adjoining balconies. And of course, the original couple are still very much in love with each other. So it's all going to go south, and it does spectacularly in 3 acts.
And speak to us about your character, Amanda, and her relationship with Elliot.
Amanda Prynne is a really fascinating character for her time. She is incredibly free-spirited, free-willed. She doesn't bow to the sort of societal norms of what it means to behave like a lady in the 30s. She does whatever she wants. She and Elliot are both quite hedonistic. They're both very sensual beings, drinking, eating, swimming, sunshine, all that sort of thing. And she really has, she's so many layers. And she and Elliot just spark. They just have a spark. They recognize something in each other that they will never find with anybody else. But as much as they can't live without each other, they also really battle to live with each other.
Yeah, you say that they couldn't live without each other, but what is the center of the divorce then between the two? And do you want to talk to us a little about their time in Nice?
Well, I think that they were married for 3 years only, and they've been divorced for 5 years. So the time we meet them, they haven't seen each other for 5 years. But they have an incredible passion, which unfortunately can also manifest itself negatively. So I imagine, given the violent arguments and fights that they have, the divorce came about as a product of just way too much of that. And there's a belief now that they've remet, that perhaps they're a little wiser, a little more mature, they can handle each other a little better than they have in the past. Doesn't necessarily prove to be the case, unfortunately.
And how would you describe, alongside Stead, Jessica Sole and Iain Robinson, and what were the highlights of being a part of the cast?
It's a wonderful cast of people. There's 4 main characters, and then there's a 5th character who is a French maid, played by our dear friend and colleague Belinda Henwood. So there are 5 of us. It makes for really intimate rehearsals. I've worked with all of them before extensively, and it just really feels like coming home. Stephen and I have a particular bond on stage, I think, which is really, really nice, and it's really helpful to a production like this where you have to be so close in every level to someone. It's a superb professional cast. Mervyn McMurtry is also directing with Stead, because Stephen's in the show. It's quite important that there is always an outside eye, and so it's just been wonderful. So many of the rehearsals have been really just discussing and unpacking and trying to, you know, excavate all these layers, because even though it is a comedy of manners, there's an awful lot more to it than that.
And you know, what's the message behind Private Lives? I mean, what do you want your audience to take away from this production?
Well, I hope that they will laugh a lot. It's that very wonderful, witty, British, dry, sort of acerbic undercutting, which is very, very funny. I think it's funny. And it's also, you know, I think we're going to have to really, once we have an audience who are laughing, think about which line is going to have to be the funniest, because they just come so quickly. And I think people will laugh out loud. I also find some of it profoundly sad, because you invest so much in these characters, and they just make mistakes over and over and over again. And so although it is, and it always has been billed as a comedy, and it is undoubtedly, I think there's a lot more to it than that. But I think predominantly audiences will come out uplifted because they've spent an hour and a half, 2 hours laughing, which is a great way to spend an evening.
Yeah, and Private Lives was last staged to critical and audience acclaim in the year 2002 in the Kwasuga Theatre with Ralph Lawson, I believe, and Belinda Harwood. Did you consult with Belinda while you were preparing for this role?
No, I didn't. Belinda lives in the UK now. I also, I'm quite private about the way I work. I like to just knuckle down and do it. I don't like watching video clips of other people. I don't YouTube. This is how I'm going to approach it. I think it's, well, for me anyway, it's quite intimidating to see what other people have done and also could lead you to believe that your path is incorrect. So I do try not to do that. I saw her in that production in 2002. She was fantastic. But I'm not thinking about Belinda. I'm thinking about what it is that I'm doing just at the moment.
You just had to do what you had to do and owning that role. And what else went into ensuring that you ace this role, but also make it your own in the process?
I think there are several ways of looking at Amanda. One way could be that it's all out, it's all facade. I couldn't find much truth in that. I know that's where a lot of the humour lies, so that's got to stay there. So I kind of did a bit of, backstory. Why is she doing this? Why does she respond this way to Elliot? When the kind of cerebral unpacking that. And I just want to make her mischievous and interesting and fun, not just kind of diva.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be many-sided. So that's been my motivation, or how I've worked towards it in the rehearsal room.
Go on and make them laugh, Claire. Make them laugh. Thank you so much for your time. All right.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
And you take care.
Yeah, you too. And that was Clare Mortimer. She plays Amanda in the delicious, sophisticated and enormously funny Noel Coward evergreen Private Lives, which kicks off at the Elizabeth Sneddon Theatre from the 24th of October until the 3rd of November.